Let me make sure we don't have that on. Blessings, blessings, blessings and grand risings, everyone. If you don't know who I am, my name is Miss Grace. My name is Miss Grace. Grand risings. We're here every what? Probably Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, at least 3 days of the week, here in my kitchen where we're talking deep, deep talk, okay? If you like deep, deep talk, you like deep, deep talk like what? Critical thinking talk early in the morning. What we do here is go over some major topics that's going on in United States. We've been paying attention to what's been going on with Trump administration, all of how can I say the drama, where it comes to migration, where it comes to policing. We even started to go into Trump's powers. What powers do we have? So today we're going to elevate the conversation, guys, and we're going to be talking about a lot of stuff. This topic in itself has been very confusing for me, as well as I know it's been confusing to you. How is Trump big beautiful bill actually going to affect us? So what I have done is put, different resources together. We're going to have a well-rounded conversation about this because my goal is to prepare myself for what's coming. And I think a lot of people may want to start thinking in them same aspects and kind of just get out of the political side talk. This is my side, this is your side. As you know, I'm a separatist. So that means that I separate from the BS and I just move what God wants us to do. So today, what we're going to be talking about is Trump big, beautiful bill and how it affects us as far as SNAP benefits, because they're definitely crying about that. Social Security, disability, housing, and also trade. We're going to get into a little bit of trade because Trump is trying to reach out to some people who he's been calling out for the last couple of years, which is China, China, China. So we kind of talked a little bit about what was going on with the relationship with China, kind of helping Venezuela, because Trump has his war on, how we call him, what did he call him? Drug lord, whatever. So it's kind of confusing, and I want us to kind of look at these different factors and see how we can actually prepare. So let's get started. First, we're going to start. We're going to be doing a lot of talking today. So if you guys understand what I'm talking about, I need you guys to get in the comments, add your value by putting your opinion, and respect everyone. Now, the first thing I want to highlight is how much do we actually depend on imports and outports before we even get into the big, beautiful bill, okay? Just a little brief synopsis of that, and then we're going to get into the elements of the big, beautiful bill, and then some of the things that may affect us as the middle class, and see how it's benefited, allegedly, the 1%. So the United States economy has a high reliance on international trade. I get quiet because the way Trump moves, he to me he seems like we don't depend on it. But I'm gonna keep going. You gotta be nice. You gotta be nice. You can't threaten people all the time and think that they're just gonna go with the flow. In my opinion. So the U.S. economy has a high resilience on international trade, particularly imports, and has run consistent trade defects since 1976, meaning its imports is significantly more lower than its exports. Okay, and this is some of the things that we have to start thinking about. Okay, because as you know, they're not going to fix it. So when it comes to exports, that rely not on these big businesses only, but us as the middle class people to come up with innovative things and help. Okay, so for the period covering 12 months through July 2025, okay, we're going over the last 12 months. Total imports were valued at approximately 4.39 trillion just for the last 12 months. Total exports is at 3.34 trillion. Now, I went over this number a while ago, and it was a good defect. It was before. It was probably like, I'm going to say at least $3 trillion difference between the two before, but remind you, this is only a 12-month outlook, okay? So basically, We have to figure out what we're exporting to and what's coming in. So this results in a total trade defect of about $1.6 trillion. That's just for the last 12 months. Okay, that's before Trump and you know Trump. So what do we actually export? The trade balance differs significantly between goods and services. Okay. So in goods, our imports is 3.5 trillion. Our exports is 2.1 trillion. Now that sounds about right because I know our exports are significantly low. So the defects is about $1 trillion. But where we kind of make up a little bit is services. So I didn't know that because usually when you call numbers and stuff, it'd be someone over the other line that you be kind of trying to figure out what they saying because they ain't speaking English. I be trying to figure out why every time I call my insurance company or I call someone, if it ain't AI, it's someone that speaks another language. So that's one of the markets that we actually don't participate in as well. We have to increase our services being part of those particular industries. But I was thinking, I was like, goods versus services, which one will be better, a better commodity to actually focus in on? And in my opinion, you let me know what's your opinion. I think that goods would be more a reliable resource to focus in on. You know why? Because services to me is saying not, it's like customer service, waitress, those type of services, operators, things like that. But at the end of the day, that's more based on our physical labor, and the service industry don't get paid as much as the goods and tech service. So that's something that I think we should really think about because AI is pushing in and pushing us into doing more services because they're putting a lot of things that were technical, more automated, even nursing jobs. I don't know how that's going to work out, but they got robot nurses. So even in my industry, there is room for AI to come in and take over. So we got to kind of think about that as human beings, how to circumvent that. Because if we listen to what Elon Musk was saying on the record, is that most of us are not going to work. That basically he's talking about a universal income. Those are things that we cannot disregard because it looks like that's what they're trying to do. They're getting us to the point that we're so financially depleted, emotionally depleted, and inflated on that looking at a universal income for some people is like, yay, it's a good thing. And right now, we do have a lot of people, or I think bots as well, because, it'd be a lot of bots, that's pushing, the cuts and everything is good, what Trump is doing is good, but they're not really seeing the total effects of that. Okay, and that's what we're going to be kind of highlighting. What are going to be the effects of that in the next couple of years, and what we should focus on? Because I've been talking to a lot of my people about, just financial health. What are we going to do on an individual level? You understand? So when we look at this topic, when I was researching and looking at all the different commentary, it's pretty mixed as far as what they feel this big, beautiful bill is going to do. So let's get into some of the elements of this big, beautiful bill, which is the big, beautiful bill. Elements of the one big, beautiful bill is, let's get to it, and let's see how it's going to affect us. Key elements is tax provision, individual income rates, maintaining the 7 bracket structure with top marginal rates of 37%, preventing it from reverting to 39%. So individual income tax rates is going to stay about 37%, which is high, 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 high. I don't care. At the end of the day, we should not be paying 37% and the 1% not paying 31%. So that's just generally. Okay, so these are some of the key provisions just to keep it at 37%. And then the standard deductions. I need y'all, because if y'all do taxes, I do my own taxes now. This is not financial information. This is just someone who is very self-sufficient. I do my own taxes. I've been doing my business taxes since I started my business. I have went through audits and beat the IRS, and they had to owe me some. it was $17, but I don't give a dang. I beat them. Yeah, so I want you guys to be able to do this because obviously we can't really depend on the system and these characters here too. Because you got to understand when it comes to contracting with us in the middle class, they have no respect for us. You thought the job market was ridiculous. Go ahead and think that you want to go be building and doing stuff. And if they know you ain't got money like that and you know you ain't a mover and a shaker and you can't give competition, you're going to see what you get. So that's why we have to be aware of this. So the standard deduction makes nearly a double standard deduction permanent, adjusting it for inflation. So the standard deduction last year, it was about $15,000. I think it was because my standard deduction for my business was under that. So I used that. So they doubled the standard deduction, which is good, which was, us as the middle class or small business owners, that may do us some justice, just a little bit. Adjusting it to is for the inflation. Okay, so child tax credit, and this is one thing I want to talk about. I don't know if it's true or not, but someone was saying that allegedly they were lowering the age of the child that you can claim to 14. Now, I don't know if that's the truth. So we have to look into that because there's no child that's 14 that is not a dependent on parents. We even have 24 and 25-year-olds still dependent post-college because of this situation. They can't even get houses and stuff. You know what I'm saying? That's something that we have to highlight. I think some of the solution to what we're going to be feeling in the future is retraction. And I'm talking about retraction for us as individuals. Like if you could cohabitate and bring incomes together, and because you have able working bodies like young adults, you need to do that, and it'll help each one of you guys save. So I just want to throw that out there. Even though a lot of us been forced into that, I think that is a good way to start kind of planning some financial help for our young adults because a lot of us cannot push them out. A lot of middle-aged individuals have been experiencing their young, I'm calling them young adults, 30 years old going back because they have to, because the requirements for getting apartments is ridiculous. Sometimes they want 3.5 amount your income, and you already know we're barely even getting minimum wage that we're supposed to. Did all the states enforce that as of yet, the $15 minimum wage? Because it was kind of going up in increments. These are the things that we have to talk about. We have to make it make sense because we be very apolitical and do this and do that, but we have to look at the repercussions of some of these actions. Okay, it's not just SNAP. It's not just SNAP. Okay, so we got to figure out what is the child tax credit age. Y'all can let me know. And what they're doing is permanently extending and enhancing the child tax credit from that was set at $2,200 per child with a $1,400 refundable. Now I was trying to figure that out. What is a $1,400 refundable? What can we get $1,400 check instead of the $2,200 credit? These are some of the things we got to know. How is it going to affect us? And I'm trying to figure out, is it going to be a refundable check or we're going to be able to get a $2,200 per child credit? And what's the age requirements? If y'all know, put it in the chat. You know what I'm saying? These are the things we got to talk about. Now here, I'm not going to fearmonger. What we do is put out the facts from both sides and we talk about it so it can make sense. Because this is the time we have to prepare. People have lost homes. 401ks is being depleted. Did y'all hear about something that happened with one of the Bitcoins? That they lost a lot of value. Now, I'm not a Bitcoin expert because the Holy Spirit told me not to deal with Bitcoin a long time ago. And it was so crazy because when they started doing Bitcoin, I prayed on it because I'm like, I want to invest. And it said, stay away. Don't do it. It's the beast system. And I just said, okay. Now, I saw a lot of people make a lot of money off of it and things. I was like, ooh. You know what I'm saying? I lost out. But now I heard that it was a big drop in one of the coins, I think. I don't know if it was Ethereum, but people was on TikTok crying. So y'all got to be careful with those investments that's non-tangible. because Bitcoin it's not non-tangible. It's not tangible, honestly. I think it's the B system. So be careful with that. Now, if you're a business owner, qualified business income is going to be a 20% deductible for eligible pass-through business income, which is not too bad. But also, we have to keep in mind how our business did. Will we actually, benefit from that? In these last couple of years, a lot of mom and pop shops have went out of business because of the political arena. First, it started with COVID. People couldn't recover from that. And then you have people who rioting, causing problems, political issues. They can't open up for that. Now you got the ICE out there scaring people. They shutting down businesses for that. Let's just keep this in mind. So the middle class business owners, I know they have suffered, and that's not what they have been talking about in the mainstream. Business class are what has been happening with us. So that's why we have to pay attention. If you're a business owner, hit the like button. I am. That's why I like to talk about these things. I'm a worker and a business owner. And what I was told too, they said the best position to be in these next couple of years is have a highly technical job that is hard to replace from AI, and also have have a business or invest in someone's business, and then have a diversified portfolio. Okay, y'all know what that is. Diversified portfolio could be like, you could have houses, you could have some money into the S&P 500, some in stocks. You want to diversify. Okay, yes, and this is not financial information. This is kind of what I talk about in my economic development seminars. Just key things that we have to pay attention to, and the actionable items. These things you pay attention to, so you can evaluate it to your situation. So we talking about the big beautiful bill. They like, how are you getting all the way down to this? Because we need to know how this applies to us. We really don't know how this big beautiful bill apply to us. So we still kind of talking about the elements of this, and is it benefiting us or is it not? It's a possibility with the child tax credit, but we don't know the age. Okay, qualified business income. Some will qualify 20% for pass-through income. Some. Okay, so we still have to go into detail in tax season and see how would this help. State and local tax deductible cap. So they raised the maximum deductible cap from $10,000 to $40,000, which is amazing, but not if you're single. Okay, it says for joint filers, and a lot of us, I know the marriage rates in America is not as high as the single rate. And single individuals always suffer until they have kids, because that's how I started. Honestly, when I had my kid, I started getting all the help. Before that, I was a struggle bunny. So, and I ain't even telling you have some kids, and just to get you some credits, but it was beneficial at one point. If you had a kid, you saw a tremendous door open to help you, but right now it's pretty different. So now, that's not going to help the average person, because a lot of us are single. It's true. Go look at the numbers. So that will help married couples to $40,000, which is great. But that is for state and local tax cap. And it says, with a phase down for higher income reverting to $10,000 right back by 2029. We'll be right back to the same thing. But then we got to think about it from 4 years from now. Would our income increase, or will inflation keep increasing? And it's going to go back down to 10,000. We're talking about the state and local tax deduction caps. Okay? So, estimated gift tax. Now, this totally don't apply to me and you. I don't care. I mean, it's cool. We give gifts. So this is good to, be able to give gifts to your family without having taxes, apply. Like, for instance, if you win the lotto, we give somebody $5 million, that may not be taxed. That's a high number, but that's what I'm talking about. Kind of saving. Every transaction that we make is taxed, basically. Ridiculous. We're being taxed on tax on tax. So that is good when it comes to estimated gift tax. They're saying that they're going to hire it to about $13 million per person in 2025, and then $15 million in 2026. But who's giving that much to somebody else? I mean, whatever. That's for his people. You know what that is, right? Gift tax. That's for his people. That's a lot. But anyway, hopefully we get rich enough to be giving each other gifts for $10,000 and all types of stuff. 40 million people on food stamps. 40% of those are kids. 68% of people on food stamp works. Stats for the hateful morons in the chat. Thank you. I appreciate you. I wasn't even paying attention, and it is the truth. Because when I was getting food stamps, I was actually working and going to school. So I had my income, but it just wasn't enough to feed three mouths because of inflation. And that's where they're not thinking about, Christy. Actually, what we have to pay versus what we have. All they see is someone getting something for free, allegedly, or at a discount, and that spews they hate. And then you look at it, we're not going to get into race relations because we're just talking about it, but a majority is going to rural areas and to people of Caucasian nation because they have a higher population. You in United States, just based on population, these things are affecting you. It's going to affect you. So the gift tax don't have anything to do with us. New temporary individual deductible. Now we're talking about the single people. Let's see. Create temporary deductions for up to 25,000 qualified tips. Okay. So more service, because I guess they're looking at like, oh, we provide more services, so we need to make sure our waitress and waiters don't get taxed so much because you know that money that they get, they pay at on the back end. So waiters and waitresses and things like that, sometimes it's basically like owning your own business. You don't pay the taxes at that time. You kind of hold it. If you're smart enough, you put it to the side. But that's how they end up paying taxes. So I guess that's supposed to boost us to want to do more services. Now, if we do more services, I think we should do more services that's technical. Just like I said, if I call AT&T, I want to speak to someone American. So you want to keep those type of jobs, customer service, and customer service is not, don't think that is not an important job. Like, for instance, when I call for my website, I need to speak to a specialist that specialize in website building and whatever I have going on. So never discredit that services is not important. We just have to pick what services are important. Does that make sense? So that's why when you raising kids, you got to talk to them about that. I talked to my son about that. I told you I homeschooled y'all from 5th grade and 6th grade to them. I have a 22-year-old and a 21-year-old. I made it. I'm about to get some church on to y'all. One is in a high volume university, and one is pursuing his business career, you know, with something I helped him establish since the age of 14. So we have these real conversations because they're going to have my grandkids. They're going the one that's going to have to take on the torch. And that's who we have to pay attention to our generations that's coming, our kids, and teach them this. Because they don't know. That's why I'm going to be honest, just to get off of it. I felt the way when they were really targeting the colleges with political mama jumba, because you were getting riled up about things that were emotionally revved up for them, which caused some instability. But you're not really focusing on how teach them how to get prepared for this. What is going on? The key elements of the GOP. It is rhetoric. So we're going to actually talk to our younger people. I don't think that we should talk to them about rhetoric. That's why I really didn't like that approach. The way Turning Point went on to colleges and had these debates with people and get people riled up. I did support, excuse me, I did support even on when I was dealing with the Democrats. I had talked to someone who was running out there from my old content, and I told him, you need to get to the colleges and talk to the young people, talk about business ownership, things like that, and the importance of getting in to vote. So it is important, but it's what we talk to them about. Do you see what I'm saying? Y'all got to get out there and talk to y'all youth around, because we complain about what's going on, but based on this system, and I have to say it, we don't have a lot of participation. So it'd be crazy because I think it's over 40% of Americans don't even participate in their local election. I mean, just average, or the presidential election. So let's just keep that in mind. I know I say that you can do more than press a button, but I do think local elections, I have found out that they're very, very important. I found out that they're very, very important. And to the ones who cannot press a button for being restricted because you was locked up, state laws, or as I'm a Hebrew, so we really can't participate in that. But we can be in the system, not of the system. This is why I do this type of stuff. This is why I give back to my community with economic development seminars. I do the give back food giveaway on Wednesday, so you can always play a role in your community and in this system. So I just have to highlight that because it's important. I have found that it is important to get into your local election. That's where the main corruption is. That's where the money trickle down and it comes into the local CAFAs, and y'all can't touch it. Y'all can't touch it. Sorry, text came through. I told you don't send a text when I'm on the phone. Doing my live. Somebody, my mod, I love you. All right, so let's move on now. We're still talking about the key elements of this big, beautiful bill. I told you it's going to be a little technical this morning, but these are things that we have to consider. So again, services, if we're going to do services, I think they need to be technical services. And that means we still need to go to school. We still need to push our kids to learn about how to integrate with AI, meaning not integrate transhumanism, but how to use AI, okay, to our benefit. I'm going to give you an example when I move on because I got to do it. Now, I have a learning aid that I have made. It's just a learning aid, and I have been promoting it to schools. And it's a book. And I told them the importance of the book as it's a learning tool with AI because schools use all AI. So I incorporated some of the discrepancies with dealing with AI all the time, which is emotional instability, yes, headaches, eye vision issue, cognitive issues go on when you deal with too much AI because they're feeding you information and you're actually not thinking. So when we're using like paper and pen type of things, it's very important because it's going to help us keep on, bettering our brain. That's one of the scary things of what's going on with AI. Because I was asking God, like, why are we going to do this? Because these people are pushing AI and we still have to survive. So that's why I'm pushing the concept of never stop paper and pen. Never stop writing. Never stop learning how to write in cursive, read in cursive. If you're going to go to AI, like I go to AI, I got things up right now. I'm reading it and I'm doing extra research with it. I'm not just taking it and reading it verbatim and this is just what it is. So let's realize what time we're on because they're pushing AI. But at the end of the day, we have to be able to kind of circumvent that because I do think that our brain is smarter than AI. Don't be mad, AI. I do because it's based on our brain. Honestly, the processing of our brain, that's what computers are based on. I honestly think that because we don't use most of our brain that, if we do, I'm just saying, but I'm going to shut up. So remember, AI is something that we have to keep in mind that is going to affect us financially. If we depend on AI, we become dumber and dumber and dumber. The universal income is going to look cooler and cooler and cooler. And then what's going to happen? One word order. We ain't doing that. Okay? That's all I'm saying. So again, the gift taxes, we talked about the temporary individual deductions, business tax provisions. I'm a little confused about that. We're going to go into that when I do one of my economic development classes. But it said make full expenses 100% bonus depreciation. Now, I understand about depreciation when you have homes or property, and then you could use a certain amount of that property for the deduction for this year, or if the next year that value depreciates, or it goes the opposite way. This is how they kind of, the tax percentage is times that. If y'all know people who do taxes, so I'm going to look into that a little bit more. As far as my follow-up, it'll be in my economic development seminar. All right, so key spending policy provisions. So spending cuts. Now, this is which I really need to pay attention to. This is a big problem, okay? So this is where we're going to get some trouble, and this is where you have experts saying Trump is setting us up for failure. Key spending policies. Spending cuts include approximately $1.1 trillion in spending reductions over a decade, preliminarily from Medicaid, supplemental programs, and student loan programs, okay? That is a big problem. That is everything that we really need because food is in the price is inflated and we depend on exports. we have to have some type of supplemental in income as far as snaps to help, or they're going to lower the prices of food, and that's not happening. So to do cuts on SNAP is a big problem, and you see them, they all on TikTok, a lot of people crying. It's not just about people taking the money and spending it frivolously. That's what people get mad at. Oh, they got food stamps, they got 3, 5, 6, 7 carts. Everybody's not doing that. People actually really need it, honestly. So that's what it's going to affect the SNAP benefits, as y'all know they've been talking about. But the student loan is very important because the cost of sending kids to school is too damn much. And then they come out and they don't get a job. I have one in the university right now, and we really had to pick. And I talked to her about it. You need to make sure you know where you're coming out to do, because you need to have a job. When I came out of school as a nursing, I came out, went straight to nursing. You know, it wasn't no waiting around. So I said, you need to pick the industry that's most lucrative in what you're doing, because you're going to have a college bill. I said, you're going to have, because I paid mine off. I ain't about to play with them. And they should call me all the time because she got to live up there. Oh, Lord. Somebody needs some food. It's not a joke. So these are primary things that should not have been cut. So you should feel away, especially highlighted that they already cut the educational program on a federal level. So we have no education directory coming from the federal level, or it's been what is his plan to destroy our federal education system, which we already know is just the funding and kind of structuring of where the funding will go to. Duh. But then we still got to pay taxes. I'm gonna throw this in there, y'all, because I said I was going to. Y'all know how we should protest? I'm gonna throw this in there once in a blue moon, okay? I think that we should not file our federal taxes, because the feds is taking our money and doing what the fuck they want to do. I don't appreciate it, honestly. I think a silent protest, I'm whispering because I don't want to get in trouble. I always come up with some ideas like this. I hope this echo and somebody take it and they keep talking about it. If we all don't file our federal taxes for the next 3 years, we probably get a little penalty. It'd be all right. But I think by that time, the Democrats would probably help us. Somebody will help us, like, look, they was protesting. And we don't get no money to spend. I don't understand why the feds think that this money comes from air, like it's not coming from the taxes that they're collecting from us. That's what really makes me disheartened with the shit that Trump is doing, because he's acting like it's his personal pocketbook when it's not supposed to be. That's why we have the Congress there. But I'm just shut up. I ain't gonna go too long on that because I'm gonna get in trouble. I ain't about to get in trouble for y'all, but y'all know I'll be coming up with some stuff. Check out my shirt. Okay, this shirt is brought to you by Lawson ATL, my son's business, which is, I guess this is how he see me. I was like, make me a shirt. Look at this, look at it. He called him, this is Heaven's Warrior. I guess this is how he see me. So he makes a lot of shirts based on God and his perception of God and things of the Bible that we teach. But he also does it in a way that it can resonate with different people. So people who do anime, different things. He just makes beautiful shirts. So shout out to Lawson ATL. We do push small businesses here that's going to turn into big businesses. Push your kids. So the next thing, this is where we're seeing a lot of our money going to, and I think we're paying to get our swooped. We're paying to get our swooped. Immigration and Border Security allocated nearly $171 billion. I'm sorry. Because the last tax cut to everything that I just told y'all about, SNAPs, Medicaid, and student loan, was $1.4 trillion. That's a lot. That's a lot. And we're giving $171 billion to the border enforcement activity, including funding the border wall construction. Has anybody heard about that? What's going on with the border wall? We're going to look into that. Because I haven't heard them talk about that. That would be the smartest idea to continue to do. That's what I told you guys. As far as immigration, one of the things I thought he was going to do was going to continue to work on the border and then send more, if he's going to send guards, National Guards, to the border, to all of the border. That's what I would have thought. And then start logistically working with the states that's around the border to start helping them circumvent the migrants that's there. You know what I'm saying? But we think a little bit too much. So we actually paying to get our ass whooped every day, not just the migrants to get them out. They beating on Americans' butts. But let's move on. Energy and environment. So these are some of the elements, if you got lost, because I do talk a lot, these are the elements of the big, beautiful bill. Okay? And you can go look this up yourself because no one really talk in detail of what it is and what it's not. But I want to talk about how it's affecting us because I'm about to plan. Because did y'all know, allegedly, even before Trump came in, they said Social Security will basically almost be do away with by 2037. Yeah, we're going to get into that. Yeah, Social Security, the thing that we paid into, they said by 2037, there'll probably be just enough that with the income that's coming in now to give people at least 15% of their income. Woo-wee. That's me and you. If you in your 40s, that's us. Even though they're not going to let us retire in a couple of years. But you know what I'm talking about. So that means that we have to financially prepare. That's why some of these things he has in here, I think he's incentivizing us to actually start saving our own money. Okay, we're gonna talk about it. We got to do it. 401k sometimes could be rocky. You know what I'm talking about. But actually, industries that's stable, we have to start investing, even if it's international currency. I ain't playing. I ain't never playing over here. Okay? So, next thing we got to look at is energy and environment. Obviously, our president wants us to continue to depend on unnatural resources and, gas and oil. You already know we hold the economy by the sword by making them exchange, how are you going to say, transactions in American money for oil and gas. You know that. We held that by the sword until now we got Russia, China, and other countries in Africa like, bump you. We ain't buying in America. We don't need your money. We have our own trade going on. And we got our own type of currency that we're going to use. And other people, if they want to get in, they got to buy that currency and get in. So, but on the other hand, this is what Trump is pulling back. Because we had some tax credits, and as landowners, you were using that because I was going to look into this too. He repealed or he's phasing out. He repealed or is phasing out several clean energy tax credit established under the Inflation Reduction Act. So it was tax credit that was given if you were able to help the energy company bring in energy by having windmills, by having solar panels, those type of things. That's what I was kind of getting into because I have land and it's up in Maryland, and you see them with these big old beautiful fans and stuff, and they're getting money. And these are average landowners. These are our farmers. These are people that you can do this. So it kind of helped us get into the energy and environment markets by doing this, because a lot of us are not starting our own energy company. The energy companies are already monopolized by a few. I think it's probably owned by one, and they just name different names in different areas. Like I got Georgia Power, you got New Jersey Gas and Electric. I think it's the same name, people, that's connected to the Rothschilds. Wasn't it the Rothschilds? Don't correct me if I'm wrong. What big family actually did the oil, gas, and train? I think it was the Rothschilds. But yeah, I'll leave that video at the bottom. I'm just saying. So that is not going to help us, because that helps small business owners make a little bit more money and receive tax credit. So again, I'm hearing 2 and 3 buoys against us as just the middle class. So how are we going to circumvent this? So this last thing, it says Trump accounts established a pilot program for tax-deferred retirement education saving accounts for newborns with a government contribution. So we're going to look into that, and that is the thing that where I think he's trying to push us to be more self-sufficient, because they know that Social Security ain't going to be able to do nothing for us. So we're going to have our own college-bound savings accounts, have these things, retirement accounts there, not depending on, jobs to match our stuff, because jobs are circumventing that by hiring more part-time people and not having to give those benefits, right? Am I tripping? We talking about some stuff that makes some sense here? It's a little crazy. It's a little crazy, but this is what I think he's doing as far as this. But I don't know even if it's Trump accounts when he gets out of Because he ain't going to be no dictator. But I just noticed what people were saying in my daggone comments. They said Trump 2028. You know what that means to me? These people want dictatorship. They want dictatorship. Yeah, and y'all talk about other countries, y'all want dictatorship. I couldn't believe it. I had to think back, like, wait, 2028? Is these people not lost their daggone mind? Yep, I think they did. Look at somebody in the comments all confused, talking about you don't deserve reparations. There's not even a conversation for that. But we could have a whole breakdown on that, baby, because you owe us. But we ain't worried about it. I'm going to be honest. If y'all want to talk about that just a little second, I think most black people with a logical mind don't care about reparations because, one, is blood money. It's dirt money. Okay? At the end of the day, God is going to get us our reparation, and we're going to watch the destruction of the people who have brought us here. That's just what's happening. So there's going to be no better reparations than to watch that. Secondly, I in my head, I think people need to be more prepared. Our people, because I love them so much. That's why they be mad at me sometime in the chat. I think we need to be more financially savvy so we don't reintegrate whatever money we do get or benefit back into this system. So I'm not pushing for reparations because I think it's just something that we could do for ourselves, honestly, by separation, not participating, and making sure that you have a lucrative saving plans for your family. No, we don't want no welfare. Some of us. If you give it, I'll definitely take that because as a Haitian, I should get double reparations. Double. You know what we did. You know what we did, how we helped y'all so much in y'all wars. And then I had to come here now and go through all of this as American shit. You owe me a double check. Stop playing. Okay? Got a little distracted, but that's how I feel about reparations. I mean, we deserve it. Yes, we do. But if they're going to give it to us, most likely probably not. They're going to use it as a token or whatever. But at the end of the day, most black people ain't dependent on that. We making our own wealth. Yep. So let's talk about the effects, and then we're going to get into a few other factors. So what they're saying is that the economic impact is subject to debate. That's why it's really been an issue for me to find someone who was credible and things like that. It's like a 50-50. It's going to work. It's not going to work. But then we have a lot of propaganda and trolls all over the internet that's pushing crazy nonsense and hate. So I'm just like, we just gonna break this down ourselves. I'm gonna read to you what I find, and y'all make sense of it, and we make sense of it on how it apply to us. So the economic effect, economic growth. Proponent urges that the bill will boost long-term GDP over 1% through investment incentive, higher wages, and more jobs. This is the same thing they say all the time. Now, I don't believe that. Because they always say that. They're going to give the 1% more incentives, and they're going to increase the wages, and they're going to create more jobs when they're actually cutting the jobs, replacing it with AI. Y'all heard what Amazon done did. They did it purposely. In how can I say? It was synchronized and thought. They let so many people off. Like, they literally just fired them. And how are they going to compensate? Not by hiring AI. That's why I say y'all got to realize what AI is taking over and what they not. And you're going to have to tell your kids what industry to get into and what not to get into. So critics urge that the overall effect of the GDP and minimum wage have been modest at best and no significant difference from the pre-existing trend. So again, minimum wage is not going to be going up. We got to prepare our kids that inflation is still going up. Minimum wage is at $15, and most of us going to have more than one type of income, which is going to be probably investing, owning something, and still working. Don't let this system get you lazy, okay? Because if you don't do these things, y'all going to want universal income. I can see the Trump lovers wanting universal income and loving it because y'all be confused. Okay? So defect in debt. No partisan analysis such as the Congressional Budget Office and the Bipartisan Policy Center project that basically the big beautiful bill will increase the federal defect to $3 trillion and potentially over $4 trillion with interest costs. This is just allegedly. Now, I don't even understand how we keep raising the debt budget in the United States, like the national debt for us, when we're not making more money, when they're cutting back jobs, when we're planning not to have Social Security by 2037. How is this happening? How do you keep on? That's like in your house, you just keep getting credit, and you don't have enough money coming in. That's not smart, but maybe it's smart for other people. That you tell me how that works. I'm gonna get to some of y'all comments right now. It says I'm on phase because I work, but my mom. He says I work, but my mom, who is disabled, is feeling. Hold on, sorry, is feeling this. This is okay though, because I'm gonna make sure that she has a good Thanksgiving either way. Quan the Terrible. Many blessings to you. Thank you for getting in the audience and starting to talk about this. People are affected and how she's affected by disability, because I'm going to get into how the cuts is going to be affecting us as far as Medicaid. They said that it's not going to affect us right now, but it's going to affect us a little bit later, as far as people getting Medicaid cut and housing and cuts for hospitalization. Because they're running out of backdoor with all of the money and everything, they're implementing fees the rich and gives them more money. Yeah, or give them more chances to retain that money as of what we see. You know, I'm not seeing us really having a big benefit. No more free EBT under taxpayers' expenses. Get your ass a job. But as we know, we have at least 30% of individuals who get food stamps actually work. And they're working 2 and 3 jobs and still can't afford the food. So that's what it is right there, Paul. I think it's just a great disdain that someone is getting something free, or you perceive as free, and because you're at a different level, you don't need it or whatever, you don't want them to have it. That's hate. That's not Christ-like. I mean, a lot of you guys be claiming Christians. I gotta act, y'all be confusing me. Y'all, Trump levels confuse me. That's why I be thinking the Jesus that y'all worshiping is a deity, because he feed the homeless. Jesus fed the homeless. He wanted everybody to, be able to prosper. That's what I thought. So I do think they do work. I just think that the system is very inflated. That's why we're talking about this critically. That's not the truth. These people working. I worked when I got food stamps, and I was in nursing school, a single mother of 2. And then when I became a nurse, I went over there and I said, I quit. I went, they was bad shit. Like, no one ever quitted welfare. I said, well, I quit today. Okay, not all people use it to do bad stuff. But look at the situation. I'm just saying. So we're going to have a major defect, allegedly increasing our debt ceiling a little bit more. Y'all let me know if y'all comfortable with that, or maybe I just don't understand how debt income ratio works. Maybe I'm a little slow. Y'all just let me know. It says distribution of wealth. Analysts suggest that the benefit of the tax cuts are largely concentrated among the high income household and large corporations, while low moderate income families will only see a modest tax cut. As we say, the deductible will be a little good. That's double. I liked that. But not that much. Okay, and then it's gonna. He said that he made it permanent. No, it's not permanent for the 30,000 deductible, because it was 15 last year. It's just for a couple of years. And then we have, like you said, we're gonna be more affected by this tax cut, and disproportionately affected by the cuts to social programs, as what we see. So we're paying more to get our butt kicked by ICE. And then he cut all of these programs that we actually need. These programs were made because there was no middle class in America. Yeah. Do I have to do an old documentary that y'all just not gonna watch? Go research it. At one point, it was not middle class. It was like poor and the rich. And was it Roosevelt? It was one of the presidents that actually came up with a bill that helped take a lot of money from the rich and elite and started making these socialist programs. I'm going to put it in the reel for you guys. I'm going to find it, okay? Yeah, it was just poor and rich. And that's what we going to get back to the good old days. That's what he wants. That's what, y'all don't know that that's what he wants. And that's what y'all want because y'all voted for them. So the immigration, the border, we talked about that. We talked about the inflation. I think I hit that pretty good. Now, what we're going to do is just look at this senator, some of the things that he's saying, and see, can we circumvent it? Because think that is a lot of fear mongering on both sides, but again, we're not getting the full picture at all. So let's just play this so I don't just talk on the screen all day. Hit the like button if you like what we're talking about.
Didn't follow over the weekend. A few new updates from the Trump agenda. The United States debt got downgraded by Moody's, and his big, beautiful bill finally got crushed through one more hurdle in the House. Remember, this is a bill that would not only raise taxes on everyone who makes minimum wage by about 53%.
See, that's not the truth. And I'm not Democrat, Republican. We heard that they getting a tax break. See, that's why we talking about this, because I was like, oh, snap. But we reading it. They're going to get a tax break for their services, because they pay taxes towards the end of the year. But Doc, again, he's trying to push us to be possibly waiters and waitress. So if we're going to choose services, we better choose high volume services so we could be in need, y'all. But that's a lie, what he just said. I don't know what side he on. He may be a Democrat, but that wasn't the truth.
Tax cuts for the top 10th of 1%, about $188,000.
Possibly.
And if you're trying to have a baby, particularly in rural parts of Virginia, where it's awful hard already to find a hospital with OBGYN care, you let this bill become law, hospitals across the region, particularly in rural communities, will close down because of Medicaid cuts. Big, beautiful. I would say this is one of the ugliest pieces of legislative works I've ever seen in my long career.
All right. We still evaluating that right now. Yeah, I caught one lie at least, but he did. It does actually give the 1%, the benefits. Now, Trump Big Beautiful Bill, officially titled the OBBB. Sorry, y'all. Significant cut federal funding for SNAP benefits. Let's talk about SNAP. And makes it harder for many people to qualify for maintained benefits. Now, this is what I understand. We're going to talk about it. I probably have some stories to tell you. Y'all I was on welfare when I ain't never afraid. I ain't this shit. I pay enough taxes. I made up for it. And I've been working since I was 15. Shit, you don't give me some money when I need help. But anyway, we're going to talk about how it affects the SNAP benefit for many people that qualify and need it for maintained benefits. So the key ways that people SNAP benefits are affected. One, expanded work requirement. The law expands the required are able-bodied adults without dependents, so to work at least 80 hours per month and or participate in a training education program to receive more than 3 months of the benefits in 3-year period. Okay, so that's pretty similar. I don't know how y'all welfare work, but when I was in Newark, you had to be part of a program, but we got to see the requirements of it because it's a little stupid. I'm just gonna give y'all a heads up. I appreciate that. One, hopefully you're helping funding the program, or you have a good program for people to get into, but we have to kind of be aware of what's the limitation. So let me just read this one, and then I'll tell you about my story. The upper age limit suggests that these requirements has increased from 54 to 64. So if at 54 years old, they didn't require, if anything, to do the school or training, but I guess we ain't never retiring. 64. Okay. Exemptions are removed for veterans, people experiencing homelessness, and youth who have aged out of foster care. So exemptions are removed for veterans. So what exemptions particularly that they remove? Because there are some things that they can get that we can't get. So it looks like they're going to be affected. People who are experiencing homelessness, and we're going to talk about the war on homelessness because it's straight demonic. Y'all know it's demonic. As a child of Christ, as a warrior for Christ, y'all know it's not right. They disappearing them people. But these are the 3 categories that's going to be affected. So the veterans, homelessness, and youth that age out of foster homes. Let's highlight that. A lot of the kids, or some good portion of the kids who come out of foster homes, they're not acclimated into society properly. Go down into Atlanta. We at least saw 2 young people that was my son age that I gave food to, and it really shocked him. He's like, yo, they like my age. And I said, yeah. And I said, sometimes they age out these foster homes. They've been coming from abuse. They never been taught ADLs, calculating bills. They just been used, So it has to be programs that help bridge them into society. And these some of the things that you guys can create. Even these are services, specialized services that you can create. Some of the things that I want to create as well. But let's keep thinking about that. These are some of the things that increase homelessness. It's not always just people who don't want to work. It's not just crazy mentally ill people. There's different reasons why people become homeless. So let's just keep that in mind. The exemption for parent caregivers is narrowed to only those with dependents under 14 years old. Oh my God. See? I fucking knew it. We gotta look this up. Well, mine's older, but no. I told y'all where I'm getting my information. This is like an AI generated information, so we gotta fact check a little bit. But AI generate information from all over. 14. So that's where the tax credits and everything we're talking about. Dependents. 14. That better not be right. I thought I was lying. Life is amazing because we getting prepared for it. Because if you're really out there and you're suffering, life is not amazing. So we trying to give some people some hope. Let's go. That's ridiculous. 14, y'all? Come on. That's why these kids think they grown and they going to be coming here, keep coming back asking us for stuff. State must begin enforcing these requirements for the newly subjected population as of November 5th, 2021. So November 1st. So these SNAP benefits, as you know, we talked about, is coming up in the next day or so. So people are going to have expanded requirements to work. Now, this is what I want to say. Now, when I was on welfare, this was the issue. I actually had to stop getting cash benefits because I did not take the program. Why? Because I was in college. I was taking prerequisites. Yeah, you didn't even let me finish the conversation before you laughed. Because I was already in nursing school. I was taking prerequisites. And why would I take a Microsoft class to learn how to do Microsoft? Duh. So then I said, hey, can I just test out? I test out of the class, took a 4-hour stupid comprehensive test, long as all hell. The lady asked me at the end, you graduated from high school? Yes. So why you on welfare? I said, because I'm in college right now. I'm a single mother of 2 kids and I need a little bit of help. So they told me to come do this and I said no. And then they gave me this benefit to test out. She said, you test out, you good, you perfect, girl, da 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 da. I said, thank you. Got to the welfare office like, bam, test out. Well, according to the requirements, you have to take a program that's under our budget and we don't support people going to college. So guess what I just had? Some food stamps and a little bit of Medicaid. That's dangerous. That's stupid. So we got to look at the details of that because there's more to think about than just the surface. How that person laughed like, ha, ha, ha. No, I was taking a higher program. Why, what the heck? And I'm no disrespect. I was definitely around people who I know that I shouldn't have been around. That I should have just been in my college courses doing what I had to do. It was just ridiculous. So let's just pay attention to that. We got to pay attention to what would be the school requirements, especially highlighting that Trump does not respect formal education. And allegedly, according to his plan when he was running for president, that he was going to create this whole, y'all can remember Trump 2025? I went over that. He was going to create like an online school where everybody could just come and take classes online and watch videos and then get a certificate. I'm not lying. We will. If I ain't pull it up right now, and I don't want to get it distracted, but I will pull that up for you. That was one of his things, and he was going to take federal funding from the federal education system to do that. That was stupid. Stupid. So we got moving on. So narrow waiver. Now this is about SNAP benefits. The bill severely limits states' ability to waive the work requirements in the area with high unemployment. See, with me, they probably wouldn't have waived it for me. I don't know, but they could have waived it for me, but they didn't. We can't do it. I said, well, hell, I'm about to go do hair. Get more money doing that. Just give me some food stamps and some insurance for these kids. This is the things we have to do. We have to make it happen. And so it's making it harder for people to have options, which is not good because people like me who use the system or we have different specialized issues. So reduction benefit level. The law cuts benefits from many low-income housing, an average of $100 per month to about 60,000 household. So the law cuts benefits for low-income household. So it says an average 100 per month. So I guess if you're getting 1,500 in food stamps, you get 1,400. And by limiting the administrative utility expenses, calculating utility expenses, requiring more households to document actual costs. Okay, because that's some of the things that you don't have to do when you go get on welfare. Some of them just don't live anywhere. Some people do, but I think at my particular time, that would have made it a little bit more complicated for me because I was paying my rent. I had child daycare that I was paying, and I was getting school benefits once in a blue moon. When you do FAFSA, a baby, I was getting some money back some semester. I'll get like 2,000. Like, oh snap! Didn't know I had to pay it back, but I'm gonna just shut the hell up. All of these things affect the bill, though. Then we got to think about it. So let's not just look at things on the surface. We got to see how it trickled down to each one of us. Talk to your state representatives. I'm dead serious. So non-citizens eligibility restrictions. The bill ends SNAP eligibility for many lawful present immigrants who have been granted humanitarian protections, including refugees can't get it, people granted asylum can't get it, and certain survivors of domestic violence and human trafficking can't get it. Good morning, highly favored. Oh my God. Now that was important. Y'all know that was important. I just said survivors of domestic violence. Because when you get in trouble, okay, you're dealing with an abuser, you got to get away, and then they put you somewhere in housing and they give you money, that's going to be cut. Oh my God. Human trafficking. We're going to talk about that this week. It was this big old bus about 60 kids that were found most recently. No, we're going to talk about it because we're going to highlight the importance of opening these Epstein files. Oh, we ain't done with that. I'm still watching, paying attention, just trying to see who the characters is. But we have state representative lawmakers are still pushing this, and kids are being found. They won't get benefits because they have to go through a rehabilitation program after being abused, sold, drugged, things like that. That's why we have to come up with the services. That's one of the things I wanted to do, to either do a senior housing or transitional center for human traffic victims. I told y'all my little thing. But if God wanted to happen, it may happen. Both populations are underserved and they both need help transitioning and help. And me being a homeschool mom for all them daggone years and dealing with these teenagers that know they all just and crazy in their own way. I know how to deal with that population. So if you know how to deal with that, that's some of the services that you could create, because we got to increase the business owner in the middle class, because obviously they cutting us off. Because if you my age, we ain't going to have no Social Security. So you better be ready. You see what I'm saying? And we have to petition for the government to support these services by giving subsidies, because we're creating or buffering this system that needs it. Does that make sense? Well, we ain't going to just complain here. Okay, so they're shifting the cost to the states. And you already know each state doesn't have the same amount of population, the same type of taxation. So that in itself affects how much money coming in from the state. Smaller states, smaller GDP. That's just the way it is. How is that fair? So the federal government has shifted a significant portion of the program costs to states, starting with administrative costs in the fiscal year of 2027, and a share of both costs based on payments and rate errors in 28. So I guess that's coming up. We'll keep our eye on that. This may force some states to further restrict eligibility and potentially leave programs entirely out of the budget. Because again, the federal money that we paying, that we should protest. Anybody on the mic? Shh. Don't file your federal tax. This is not tax information. It's not legal, but I possibly won't file my taxes for feds. I'm gonna do it, but I'm not gonna submit it. I'm gonna see if I'm gonna get something back. I'm gonna file it. If I'm not, I may take the penalty for 3 years. I'm just gonna tell y'all. Fuck them. They ain't taking my money no more. Till you do right by me. Sorry, I got loud. Till you do right by me, I'm taking all my federal tax money back. That's what I'm doing. Y'all think I'm playing. I'm dead serious. If it's a $40 thing, penalty, fuck it. I'm tired of Trump. I'm tired. You better do what we need before I get mad. All right, so it may end up with program elimination. So funding the SNAP Nutritional Education and Obese Prevention Grant Program, ending with the fiscal year 2025. And that's where we're supposed to be promoting healthy eating. And we're supposed to, because guess what? If we're not promoting healthy eating in school, how can I say, um, if we're not doing it intentionally, then we're gonna have a problem. Because all we got is fast food, eat, and allegedly they got humans in the burgers. Shut up, y'all. Y'all know I gotta say something crazy in the broadcast. You know what they doing. Y'all don't want to eat everywhere, but we have to embed this in our kids as well because they're strictly watching social media, pushing all these candies down their throat. So if we don't have intentional programs that prevent obesity within school and promote healthy eating through the lunch program and things like that, we in trouble. So that's how it's gonna affect us, you guys. It's not just cut off their benefits and they living off of us. No, we're literally trying to survive. That's it. All right, if you like what I'm talking about, please hit the like button. We're going to be here just for a little while. I'm just trying to tell you this is going to be a little long live for the people who can handle it because I want to break this down, to its totality so we could kind of figure out how we're going to move on. I kind of know how I'm moving on, y'all. I'm diversifying my portfolio. I'm looking into international investments as well. I will invest in the SP 500. Kind of nervous because the way Trump going, he may collapse a whole motherfucking system, gold, houses, and businesses. So I'm just saying. Because at the end of the day, we can't depend on them. Obviously, people in the audience like, yeah, don't depend. Yeah, keep paying taxes. You don't deserve shit. I'm preparing for y'all. I'm preparing. All right, so let's go. I did the big, beautiful bill. Okay, we're going to talk about Social Security. Can we just talk about the Social Security and I'll end it after that? Shadri, give me 1 second, y'all. I'm about to go get my charger real quick. While I get my charger real quick, I want y'all to watch this, okay? Because we're going to kind of end off with this real quick. Trump is trying to compensate for a lot of things that I've been talking about with restricting his trade. How can I say? Because there was an agreement. He was just threatening people and now trying to open a communication with Asia, China, and Japan, which I'm confused because China is with Russia. China want to help Venezuela. It's just a little confusing. So China trade talks aimed to avert tariffs and rare earth control and aim soybean dispute. We're going to talk about Social Security and then we're going to get into trade and we're going to finish off today live because I don't want to blow y'all mind. Y'all, I can talk. I did them 3 hour, 4 hour nursing seminars. I'm used to this. So let's go. Let's watch this real quick while I go get my charger.
In Washington. President Trump is in Asia this week for meetings with foreign leaders that carry major economic stakes for the United States, including a potential trade deal with China. Making stops in Malaysia, Japan, and South Korea, President Trump's meetings with world leaders in Asia this week carry major implications for America's economy. The main event being Thursday in South Korea with Chinese President Xi Jinping. A meeting
you willing to pay the penalty too? Quan, that's you. I said your name right, Quan. If you willing to play penalty too, I'm down. We could do this in spirit and heart because I'm not about to play with them. I'm just gonna throw that out every time we talk about the economy and see what y'all do when tax season comes. Because I ain't never scared. Ain't nobody scared of them. Get taking our damn money. Shit, that's silent protest right there. That's guerrilla warfare. We don't need to go outside for shit. We just need to think. So I appreciate you. Okay, I appreciate you. I didn't know y'all heard that.
He has a lot to talk about with us. Since the president's April 2nd Liberation Day, tariff levels and diplomatic relations between the U.S. and China have been on a roller coaster.
They were taking tremendous advantage of us.
I think China's been very respectful of us.
As of now, tariffs between the U.S. and China stand at about 58% for most Chinese goods flowing into the U.S. and about 33% for American goods to China. It was all headed for a cliff after China announced export controls on its coveted rare earth minerals, and President Trump responded with a threat to impose another 100% tariff on Chinese goods if China didn't change course.
I believe we've reached very substantial framework that will avoid that.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent announcing over the weekend.
You know, oh y'all, I got distracted. Trump did retract the 100% tariff. We're gonna talk about that. But you know who that man looked like? Y'all better cut it out. Y'all watch Men in Black, and the guy who was driving the truck, and the one who had the like he had gotten a car accident and his neck had broken. Y'all know who I'm talking about. He looked just like that guy. Oh, I got distracted. Okay, let's go, y'all. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Something ain't right with him.
Weekend, he and his Chinese
Sorry.
counterpart have agreed on a foundation for a U.S.-China trade deal.
I'm also
Look at him.
anticipating that we will get some
Neck
kind
to the
of
side. He looked just like him.
deferral on the
Sorry.
rare earth export controls.
Bessent says President Trump.
Now, I know I was talking, but pay attention. The rare earth like elements that they're trying to get. This is not the first time that you heard this. This is what he was trying to put in the Ukraine deal, wanting to get some earth elements. This is why he wanted to get into Haiti, because we have certain earth elements. What do we need earth elements for, y'all? Hurry up. This is a quiz. This is a quiz. AI technology, Elon Musk batteries, all types of stuff. Let's just keep our eye on it. Why do we need that much earth elements? Why we ain't focus on food, on agriculture, things that'll help bridge the gap that we need? Maybe we need, like you said, soybeans, things like that that we could grow here. Nah, just pay attention. Pay attention to detail. They want these earth elements, and I think it has direct connection to AI technology.
Trump's 100% tariff threat is effectively off the table.
Yep.
Trump and Xi also expected to broach the sensitive topics of Chinese production of fentanyl chemicals and China switching its soybean purchases from the U.S. to Argentina. Another issue with high stakes for President Trump.
Why are you going to get on China for making fentanyl when we should get on us for actually distributing it recklessly and our doctors not just giving it willy-nilly? I mean, don't we start with the actual problem? But how you going to get on them for producing it when we buying it or we getting it here? I'll move on. I just asked some questions.
Finalizing a deal to transfer TikTok to majority American ownership in order to comply with the U.S. national security law. But China is expected to keep a roughly 20% stake in TikTok, raising red flags for China hawks in Washington.
As long as the Chinese are involved, I think there's reasons for distrust.
While he's in
Nope.
Asia,
Nope. I'm going to get to you, Mr. Gilbert. You said, of course, we're talking about the earth elements. They are connected to AI technology, where earth elements, the first ones coming to mind is lithium. Yes. Okay. And let's just talk about this before we go into the social security aspect, just to give y'all some information. The Big Boo Bill doesn't directly affect Social Security right now, but I want you guys to be aware. If y'all my age, we ain't going to have none. But back to you, Gilbert. I agree with you 100%. As far as what she just said, when they talked about TikTok, it's not a national security thing. TikTok was very open, and a lot of people were able to make a lot of money, middle class, young people. We had people like Kai Cenat, DDG. Y'all didn't know I know about these young boys. I got young people. These big bloggers, they made hundreds of thousands of dollars on these platforms. And you see what we've been talking about. It's the systematic control of the middle class, what we make, how we make it, and where we make it from. So not only were people making money off of TikTok, like my son went viral a lot of times with his clothes and everything, because it allowed him to open up into international arenas. You know what they do on Facebook. You know what they do on Instagram. And now they're getting better on YouTube. Thank you for pushing content creators for the last 2 months. I've been hearing new content creators and people like me. They're pushing, allowing us to come out for some apparent reason. I don't know if it's a recycle, like they're trying to get rid of the old, bring new. Thank you, YouTube. But TikTok was always open. So now that they controlling TikTok, and they're going to restrict it. People are going to lose money. Content creators been talking about you losing money. So I don't think that it's totally a national security thing. I think it's just control of the narrative. Yup. And control of that excess money that's coming into the United States from China, from that Chinese company. I'm just saying, they done captured TikTok. You're going to have to find another place. Now, this is the proof behind Social Security, so we need to get ready. Yes, there will still be Social Security in the next 10 years, but it faced a fund shortfall. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. Okay. Social Security trust funds are projected to be depleted by 2034. Remember that number, which would require benefits to be reduced to about 81%. So, excuse my other quote, but it said 81%, okay, of what was promised, the amount that we're supposed to get. However, Social Security will continue to pay benefits for income payroll taxes. The financial situation, projected depletion, the combined trust funds are projected to deplete by 2034. What does that mean? After the trust funds are depleted, Social Security will still be able to pay portions of the benefit using ongoing tax revenues. Boom, but not the full amount. So we have to figure out what's going to be the tax revenues. If we have our people and our kids being pushed out of the workforce, hard for them to find jobs because AI is replacing them, and requirements to, get jobs is crazy. They're not following social norm rules, which is equality. So that's going to knock people out the box. How many people are going to be paying taxes? So they say 81% we're going to get, as far as me and you, if we, get to retire. But then it's going to be based on the current work source and taxations. Whoop, 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 whoop. We in deep doo-doo. That's why we're going to have to create our own. Business owners, unite. Man, middle class, stop playing. Stop playing. Stop begging these people. Oh, they got to do this. They not going to do it. Let's go. Okay? Diversify your portfolio. I'm dead serious. That's why I do my economic development class. I be passionate about being independent and, surviving. We want to thrive. And I want our system to work for us. But obviously it's not. Because we have tyrants. We have people who like chaos. People who like to keep us blinded on both sides. This shit ain't right. I sound like a Haitian. That's why I do. That's how we don't trust them motherfuckers in Haiti. Shit. We expect them to do us dirty. That's why we be preparing. Okay, so the possible solution. The government is aware of the issue and various solution has been proposed to prevent the shortfall. These potential fixes can include a raise in Social Security payroll rate for us right now. Increase or eliminating the cap on income taxes. Did y'all hear that? Their solutions sound like they're going to put more weight on us. And adjust the full retirement age. We barely could find jobs, and then you gonna want us to be old as hell still working. I told you, by this time, we probably still be working, but at the end of the day, we want to know if it's available for us, and it don't sound like. So what that means for you, Social Security is not expected to disappear entirely within the next decade, so benefits will still be paid, some. However, the account for potential future shortfalls it is wise to not rely on Social Security as a sole source of retirement money. Am I lying or am I flying? People who are currently paying into the system will likely need to be prepared for potential changes in benefits and plans their retirement finance accordingly. And this is why we're talking about it. We're like an hour and a half into this broadcast. I know I'm banging y'all mind a lot this morning is early, but I'm glad we can have these conversations. Critical thinking, non-biased, whatever they call it, because y'all know I'm a separatist. We're going to talk from both sides. Who said what, and we exposing it to figure out how we going to win. Because they're not thinking about us. This is the last section that I'm going to get into, because I had a few more other things to talk about, but I don't want to burn y'all out. Can we talk, y'all want to talk about the job market? Can we finish off with that? And that's why we got to really have to be independent and then talk about all the factors that actually, not all of them, a good amount of factors that affect our job market. Can we just end off with that, y'all? And I'm going to look at y'all comments. Thank you for being active, talking to each other. And, me coming in, looking at some of y'all comments, we're going to look at it. I appreciate y'all. Now, let's just close off with this, the job market. So we talked about Social Security. Basically, don't be dependent on it. It's not a game. It's not a joke. Not a game, not a joke. We're going to be older. We're going to want to stop working. So you have to prepare right now. Okay. So it says job market. Yes, there has been a significant job increase in the last 8 years. Let's see what happened. And in my opinion, before I read this, and y'all tell me am I wrong, I think the job increase has happened because they had several new part-time jobs and PRN jobs. So that looks like it's a lot of jobs, but those jobs to me are non-beneficial jobs that you don't get benefits and you have to pay your own taxes. We have an increase in 1099 jobs. You know, things like me, I'm a 1099 nurse, like meaning that I basically have created a business so I can contract with hospitals or contract, and that puts me in a different tax bracket, having to have different deductions, but I still have to be mindful of what I'm saving for the future because there's no one doing that. Does that make sense? So although the pace of growth have varied in the most recent years, from 2010 to 2017, U.S. economy added 15.8 million jobs, which was the record period of a sustained growth at that time. So from 2010 to 2017, it was an increased growth. What happened in 2008? Was this actually a growth or was this a stimulus? Huh? 2008, the housing market crash happened and we had significant bonds being bought by China. That's why right now, I think that's what he's trying to do with Japan. And Japan like, yeah, I'm going to come up in there and buy some bonds so I could own and I could cash them bonds in as needed. You can buy bonds too as well. You know that? That's one thing I didn't mention. Going in and buying governmental bonds and, before the shit crash and get your money. Because more government bonds is more secure than any tax investment, like stocks and things like that. So go looking at yourself. I'm not a financial expert. I'll just talk to y'all about what I do because I ain't deep. Okay, so look into those government bonds as well. But it said it was a significant growth at that time. However, recent data shows a significant slowdown in hiring in 2025. With job creations at a standstill and unemployment rates rising, though it means it's at a historical low, because they'll be like, it's at a historical low. But y'all not realizing the change of the tide is coming. So we had got that economic boom after 2009 from other countries coming and buying our bond. Then we had this COVID thing that happened that literally knocked a lot of people out of the box, knocked a lot of states' GDP down, and they did not get compensated by outsourcing, selling bonds. We just been trying to recover ourselves. So these are the periodic times we have to pay attention to and what's happening now. So again, I think that boom was kind of infused between 2010 and 17 from that, but I'm gonna mind my business. Okay, long-term growth, roughly 2010 to 17, this is just details. Strong and consistent job creation. The United States economy experienced a record streak of 75 consecutive months of growth, adding 15.8 million private sector jobs between 2010 and 2017. So how did that happen? We have to figure that out, guys. Maybe we'll talk about that in part 2, because we're going to have to do something similar on, just as people. We got to figure shit out. Wage growth. The period saw faster real hourly wage growth than any other business cycle since 1970. So that was one, they had to do something because that... You know why they had to do something with the income growth there? Because that housing market crash proved that many Americans were never qualified to buy houses through, loan programs and things because they never met the income requirement. So they were saying it was fraud on the bankers and things like that, which is true, but it's fraud on our nation because our income is too low. So that's why you started hearing them talking about increasing the minimum wage. Because that was a highlight to take, okay, people can't buy houses. That's why so many people went to do this. They put themselves in a risky situation. So many people were good people. They wasn't just people who were just trying to get free houses. They wanted to get in a house and they thought they would try and they met the requirements. They knew they wasn't making money. But that was the American dream, which was a trap. Okay, so the wage growth was pushed between there, kind of. That's my opinion why. Y'all let me know. I'm going to get into y'all comments why you think that happened. Full-time employment, essentially all of the job growth was full-time employment at that time. You see how they highlighted that? this time they're never highlighting if it's full-time or if it's part-time. They keep just saying it's growing, but I think it's part-time, non-benefit jobs. People saying they having 2 and 3 jobs and still can't take care of their family right now to this day. Go on TikTok. So the recent trends, just to close off now, recent trends, slow pace. Hiring has slowed down considerably in the last year, with some economics, excuse me, my tongue heavy, called it the weakest pre-pandemic pace since 2013. So even before the pandemic happened, we were doing better than this. Okay? Rising unemployment. The unemployment rate has risen from 4.3 as of August 2025 to the highest. Because before we was at a 3 point something. So even though they're creating this job, the unemployment rate is still going up. And people going to probably be like, because all these migrants came in here. I don't know about that. I just know some of our kids, y'all better push them. They lazy. They AI. Everybody want to be influencers. I'm just being honest. A lot of our kids don't want to do the jobs that they need to do. So you have to push them in, because society has shaped their mind and shaped what they want to do. So that's on us, y'all. It's on us. It's on us. Our kids don't want to do this job, just like you don't want to do some of these jobs. It's mindset. So we are part of the factor of this slowdown as well in AI. Okay. So weak hiring incentives. Companies announced the weakest hiring incentive as of September from 2011. So you know how the government will give incentive to hire these particular people or industry because they want to correct the default. Like, for instance, I always bring this up. If we want more engineers, they're going to fund the schools with subsidies that's going to bring more engineers in, or create a program for that. And that's done from our government, our feds. They're supposed to use our money and do those things with it. But again, if that's not happening and that's not circumventing that money to where it needs to go, who's suffering? I'm just trying to put some stuff together. Okay. So again, mixing industry performance. Healthcare is the driver of global health growth. I'm surprised. I'm so happy to be where I'm at right now. That's why I told my daughter, wherever you come out of school, you better make sure you get a job. I know everybody don't want to be nurses no more because that is heavy, but you will get a job. So y'all better find an industry for y'all kids to be, how can I say, a help for the society economically, and something that they like to do, because a lot of our kids just like to do whatever they want to do. That's why I support my son's business and his shirt that he makes. But I'll be like, no, you got to learn some type of skills. I'm not about to play with you. If the lights cut off today, what the hell could you do? And could it be building? Could it be electrician? Could it be something? They got to get a technical skill. You better push your younger generation, because we getting older. I'm just saying. So with that goes to say, I think I said a lot. We've been on for a long time. We retained a good amount of the audience. Please hit the like button. I want you guys to know that later on this week, we're going to get into what the heck is going on with Trump in China. 2 factors. He's negotiating with them, trying to get them on his side, because he needs help with Russia. He needs help with bonds, and he needs to secure trade, because because Russia, even China, African countries have been setting up their own trade. So the defect of having all of these tariffs, because people think tariffs, is that they're going to circumvent tariffs and finding other methods to transport, to set up trade agreements outside of these tariffs. And that these tariffs are given to by the United States. So that means that they're going to find other ways to do business, trade, build their economy without America. So you thought we was setting them up, but sometimes the hole you dig for people, it makes them stronger, because they like, fuck it, I can't depend on you. Does that make sense? So Trump pulls plug on trade talks with Canada. We're going to try to figure out why too. And because we need Canada. Let's go.
Since returning to office, the president has been trying to rework a trade deal. Our Ross Ketchke is live in Washington with what derailed the talks with our neighbors to the north.
Something
Good evening,
stupid.
guys. That announcement from President Trump last night came quite abruptly and appeared to be spurred on.
This was last night,
by
y'all.
a television ad.
Such crazy
See,
areas hurt
this is where I'm closing off at. If y'all go look at our reels, I put this up here. Trump is mad at China, Canada right now. Don't want to talk to them no more for this simple ass commercial. And that's what we're going to close off with. Who is running our nation and what the hell is he thinking? He needs some more emotional intelligence. But this is it. This is it.
every American worker.
This is the TV ad throwing a wrench into trade talks between the U.S. and Canada.
High tariffs
stupid.
inevitably lead to retaliation by foreign countries and the triggering of fierce trade wars.
Paid for by the Ontario government, the video pulls from a 1987 radio address from President Ronald Reagan, where the Republican cautions against trade wars. But the Reagan Association says the speech is taken out of context. Ontario's premier now announcing the ad will be pulled off the air, but the damage appears to be done.
The president made his announcement that he suspended any trade talks with Canada for now.
Because of a video, y'all? A lot of people can't even comprehend what the hell the video was talking about. This is what I'm saying. We got to prepare because this man and whatever administration you don't like, they don't 100% think about us. This is stupid.
Trump accusing Canada of trying to influence an upcoming Supreme Court decision in a case that will determine the White House's authority to issue blanket tariffs. The U.S. and Canada had a more than $900 billion trade relationship in 2024. Everything from lumber to energy to cars flowing both ways across the border. Some of the president's top economic advisors say frustrations in talks with our northern neighbors run much deeper than just the commercial.
I guess the lack of flexibility.
With negotiations on hold, Canada's prime minister saying he's ready to come to the table.
We can't control the trade policy of the United States. We stand ready to pick up on that progress and build on that progress when the Americans are ready.
You know why Trump mad? Because he had a clip of Ronald Reagan. I told you, I think that was the president that actually took a lot of money from the rich and elites and created programs here. I have to double check that. But he knows if people do the research, it's going to hit the heart of American people. So I'm just saying, a commercial and you're going to stop talking? We're going to have more emotional discernment. So with that being said, I hope you guys learned a lot today. Y'all know I'm a little geeky. Press replay. We'll be back tomorrow. We're going to be talking about how Trump administration is affecting the homelessness. This is a little dangerous. Y'all know I give food out on Wednesday. So if y'all want to, y'all can support. Tomorrow we're going to be doing sloppy joes for the homeless in Atlanta. But with that being said, we're going to figure out where they going because they disappearing, and we have a lot of other amazing topics. So go ahead, hit the like button, hit it, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. I love you guys, and I appreciate you guys for having an expansive mind. I always say I'm going to get to the comments, and then I don't. Y'all want me to look at the comments? All right, let me get to the comments real quick. Okay, Quinn. I'm going to either call your first or last name, Quinn. This administration is trying to sever out the marginal. I promise God will provide you. Do not have to compromise your morals. Allow people to get a chance to be an angel in your life. I agree. Let's listen at Fox. There needs to be more trade taught in public schools, bricklaying, plumbing, carpentry, electrical, auto mechanic, welding, concrete. I agree, Fox. Mr. Fox, Max, Mr. Fox, I agree. Thank you. But what that goes to say, we got to start at home. So if you homeschool and you got young adults, you got to put that in their head because AI and these algorithms is teaching them what's important. So remember that we have to do the work. Okay, we all pay 90% for food and rent. You're being modest, Miss Christensen. Thank you. But 90% of our income, I think it's probably 110% of our income, depending if you're smart enough to, cap some of your bills. Make sure that you don't get rental property. Renting, that means you're renting for things over $1,500. I think we got to cohabitate. I don't care. We got to retract. It's hard, but they're retracting anyway. You'll rather do it intentionally and then instead of your older kids just coming back home. Have a damn plan, okay? Does that make sense? Quinn, if you are a person of means, this is not the time to be proud or hold on to your money too tight. Love the neighbors and help thy neighbors, which is true. And I said that we supposed to help thy neighbors, but we do have to spend wisely. We have a lot of crazy spending, especially us I'm gonna say in the black community, because I know my people, and we have to spend less on luxuries and more on necessities right now. We do have to just step back and say what is needed, what is a necessity, and how can we save more money to put into our business, into diversifying our portfolio and everything. That's for all nations, but I'm just gonna have to say, but my black people, we got to do that. We're gonna take one more comment. I want to say thank you for everyone being here. We don't need Canada, you idiots. Canada needs us, you dummies. Okay, Cruz. Now, if you were able to give us more substance behind that, to say, hey, our exports was this with Canada, imports is this, then we could have a critical conversation with you. But Mr. West Cruz, we can't, because you reply like this. And sometimes I do believe Trump supporters reply like this because you have less substance. So bring some more substance to the conversation. That's what we did, and I can make your comment make sense. But I do appreciate you being here. Okay, next time just put a little bit more respect on the audience name. We're very intellectual people here. And it's just not gonna work. So with that being said, I love you guys. Have a great day, and I will see y'all tomorrow.